Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. We are so excited to be able to bring this broadcast to you today in the comfort of your homes, wherever you are, staying home together during COVID-19. Now, obviously, here on the Kim Jacobs Show, I'm focusing on things that can help your life, ranging from cradle to grave and even beyond, offering inspiration and backstories for people that I know their stories can change your lives for the better. So today on the Kim Jacobs Show, I have Pamela Howard. Hey, Pam.
Hello.
And we are going to give her an opportunity to share her story. But as you already know, when you first come on the Kim Jacobs Show, make sure you take a moment and share the broadcast with your friends, your coworkers, church members, family members, people you like, people you don't like. It doesn't even matter. Just share the Kim Jacobs Show so people can be a part of today's broadcast. So take a moment and do that, and then I'm going to go right into a formal introduction of today's guests. And Pam, let me know when you've done that as well.
Okay. I'm looking for the
It'll come
my
right up on my personal page, and then you can just share it over to your friends. But while Pamela is doing that as well, I just want to make sure that you know a couple of things that I always kind of wait till the end to share with you. I'll go ahead and share it with you now. At noon today, we have a prayer line. Pastor Jacobs does 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083 #. Make sure you know that 12 to 12:30 Monday through Friday prayer is taking place, and that is in just to cover those that are dealing with such tragedy and turmoil and even being infected themselves with COVID-19. So we're trying to make sure that people know that people are praying for those that are seriously going through, and people are experiencing a lot of turmoil right now during these times. So keep that
Mhm.
in mind. And Pamela, we're going to go
Yeah.
ahead. You ready? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started then. So my guest is Pamela Howard here. And first of all, I'm excited because Pam has, you know what, Pam has been a part of my life from the perspective of working with me with eWomen Network. She's also helped do some coaching and some other things with me. And she's just been a blessing in my life. So many of you may know her from all different aspects of life with being involved in my life already. And you know what? I'm trying to find something, Pam, but it didn't come up. So, okay, I am going to I was looking for, I put the bio there, but it didn't show up properly. And I don't want to not share your formal bio because that does make a difference so people get a chance to. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take you to Pamela's page, and that will give you an idea of what Pamela does. And she has such a professional website, and I love it. Pamela plans event planning strategist, and here is her website, which is incredible. She said, "Hi, I'm Pamela, and I'm your local event planner and strategy coach. Through business growing pains." Now, she had her own personal business growing pains. 3 years ago, she discovered a niche and began this journey as an event strategist and consultant. Having a heart for small business and entrepreneurs, she is elated to be your resource to planning an amazing event. You deserve to receive a return on investment through your events. You deserve to engage broader and larger audiences. And you should be leveraging off of your events by generating and growing your database. So now Pamela has become an expert in her field of event planning, and she knows how to walk you from A to Z, how to go about starting your process, booking your consultation. Then she goes through a step by step process on helping you plan your event. Everything is stellar. She has like a whole 6-step strategy ranging from knowing what to do first, how to budget and pay for your events, how to market and get people to attend your events, how to utilize and make team help you execute a wonderful experience on the actual day of your event, and to prepare for contingencies. So I am so proud to be able to introduce to you today Hey, this is actually a quote from me. Pamela Howard has a very professional planning process that has ensured that our event was a sellout. She kept us on track, made sure that no deadlines were missed. In the event planning process, Pamela brought things to our attention that we simply would have forgotten to consider. Pamela, she is a true gift that you have to have. And she is a blessing to an organization that utilizes it. So thank you for sharing your gift, Pamela, with us and today with my audience. So welcome, Pamela Howard. I'm so glad I did that introduction. That's better than that's it right there. So welcome, Pam.
Hello, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for this opportunity on your platform. I am very excited to be here. Very excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. And now I've only gotten to know you from a business perspective where we work together with the Mother Dreamer movement. You're a part of the Mother Dreamer movement. And
Yes.
so I get to know you from your goals and your dreams and your family and what happens with your son graduate, all of the fun family nuances and stuff like that. But the thing is, I really don't know your backstory.
Mm,
And so I want to first hear a little bit about what you do from a professional perspective, and then we'll go and kind of back roll so that people get to know Pamela from a different perspective.
okay. So, as you read, I am an event planner. And it wasn't some, I wasn't the person that had that dream where, this is what I want to do. This is the kind of business I want to have. It was never, ever in my forefront or in my memory or something I wanted as a child was to be a planner. I actually wanted to be a nurse.
Hmm,
I wanted to be a nurse,
I didn't know that.
uh, and I did, and I was in the field actually. I worked in the hospital for over almost 10 years, and something just wasn't right. I loved being around people. I loved people, and that was something that I didn't want to let go of. Getting into the event planning business was due to me experiencing negativity in my own wedding plans.
Okay, what kind of negativity did you experience?
Well, so we as planners, we always educate and we tell people, whatever you do, consult a wedding planner or consult an event planner so that
Right.
you can, get good direction, professional assistance, and help someone budget your money because you have to spend money, but you want it to be spent correctly. Therefore, I did that. I hired a wedding planner, and my wedding planner left town 4 weeks before my wedding.
What?
4 weeks before my wedding. The venue that my husband and I, or at that time he was my fiance, the venue that we had purchased was a villa on the lake, and the owner sold it 2 weeks before my wedding.
Oh my gosh.
In addition to that, the night before my wedding, there was no rehearsal because there was a bad storm. And I guess with the mansions and the villas being on the lake, the storm knocked all the power out because they were on well. And so all of my guests from as far north as you can think, we had nowhere to go. It was the hottest month of the year, August. And the new owner threatened to cancel my wedding
Oh
the
my
day
God.
before. He was scared. He didn't have a plan. He didn't have contingencies. He was a new owner. He wasn't even from the state of North Carolina. And all of that happened 4 weeks, 2 weeks, and then the night before.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Long story short, well, let me say this. As a result of all that, never received my wedding pictures.
Oh.
And we had a lot of friends that took some candid shots and some pose shots and sent them to us. So we have some memory, but not the professional ones we paid for. Um, Long story short, day of the wedding, everything went perfectly. You wouldn't have not known that that happened. But when I look back on it,
Wow.
I had to I was forced, I would say that I was forced in position to have to do a lot of research on my own. And going through all of that and learning something new gave
Mhm.
me the inspiration, was like, you know what? I can do this
You,
and I can
you do
do it
it well.
better. And, my main reason for getting into this particular industry and being an event planner was because I wanted to stand up and be present for individuals like yourself and others that knew exactly what to do
Right.
and could always provide contingencies, because what I've learned over my 20 years of being an event planner is that stuff is going to happen. But how
Always.
you handle that
Mhm.
and how you prepare for contingencies is what not only makes the client happy, but it makes you shine as a professional. So,
Yes. Well, you're gifted at doing that. So I know that aspect of you. And I'm so glad that God put you in the path of event planning, because so many people's events are stellar just because of your expertise. And I think, like you said, that passion of this frustrates me, so I'm going to be the person that provides a solution for other people. So people that are
correct.
going into business, because not much more of our discussion will be about business, it'll be more personal. But
Right.
I want to make sure that you give a tip or two for people that are thinking about starting their own business venture. What would you advise them to do? Because
I
they
would
really
say,
don't know where to start.
don't sit on your dreams. You know, um, don't sit on your dreams. I posted something on my Instagram, you know, doing your dream, not doing your dream is just a plan. You know, don't sit on your dreams. Go ahead and execute it. Um, a lot of people have been at a standstill because of, the pandemic and, COVID-19, and, and I'm advising everyone to be cautious. I'm being cautious,
Right.
but you can't stop. Life is still going to go on. And I made a statement just last week in one of my live forums. I'm like, there's no difference between virtual events and physical events. Either way, one is online, digital, and the other one is in a brick and mortar. At the end of the day, when you host events, people are coming to receive. You're coming to give content. People are coming to receive content, whether it's coming from you as a moderator or the speaker, and you're exchanging information and you're giving information to a solution, which is your audience. You
Wow.
can do that virtually. You can do it in brick and mortar. So I tell people, take a deep breath. There's
Whew.
not a lot of pivoting that has to be done. You may have to tweak some things, but not a lot of pivoting needs to be done. You just need to find your digital home, just like you would your brick and mortar home for your event. And then do what you do, share that content, and, you know, give people the solution that they're coming to get.
Wow, that's good advice. Great advice, Pamela. Wow. Okay, so there you have it. Make sure that you know that whether you're doing a virtual or you're doing a brick and mortar, people are still coming to receive that information. That's a good takeaway for me, because sometimes I do feel like there's such a big difference. And, if I'm home and they're home, do they get the same feeling or the same experience? And the answer is
Hmm.
yes, based on what you're saying.
Right,
I'm glad to
right.
hear that. All right. Well, this is good information. I want to let you guys know that today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show is sponsored by All Roads Education, and that's none other than Sean Hall. And Sean is recently an author of a book called "Is Pay Prepare Now, Don't Pay Later." And I love the saying here, whether you are on the road to college or you're already there, we are here to help you navigate. Together, meaning the parents and Sean and her team can devise your path to a debt free education. So, Sean A. Hall is the author of Prepare Now, Don't Pay Later, your roadmap to debt free higher education, guided by someone who has walked the path 3 times. And Sean, I can definitely give a testimony that she knows exactly what she's talking about. She's officially helped my son Ivan and she's helped my son
Right.
Frankie, but she's helped my son Ivan be able to get multiple scholarships that he wouldn't have even known about. And as
Mhm.
recent as last week, he received a $5,000 scholarship thanks to the direction and guidance from Sean Hall. So thank you, Sean Hall from All Roads Education, for being today's episode sponsor. Very glad to have you. Also, if you want to sponsor an episode on the Kim Jacobs Show, know that you can just email me at kim@thebalancedoctor.tv and share your 30-second video, or you can also have me do a shout out like I just did with All Roads Education, and that would last for about 30 seconds as well. I can give you all of the pricing, so please make sure that you email me and I'll give you more details. All right. I want to make sure I let you know too that the Kim Jacobs Show is seeking summer interns for college credit only. Do not call and ask me, is this a paid internship? This is for college credits only. I'm looking for, me and my team, we're looking for one editor, one graphic design artist, two social media content developers, and two broadcast journalism digital media representatives. So as we pivot, Pamela, there are some things about you that I don't even know. So I don't really know what questions Stephen asked you, but I do know that sometimes our stories can really impact the lives of other people in a way that can give them hope and
Mhm.
give them encouragement. There are some things that you've experienced in your lifetime that I think would be, if I'm not mistaken, the first time is you sharing it today on the Kim Jacobs Show.
Right.
Okay, but I don't know really what it is, so I can't say yet what it is, but I would like to go on this journey with you. And first of all, thank you for your willingness to open up on the Kim Jacobs Show and talk to us about where you came from and where you are today.
Well, thank you, Kim. And this is the first time that I have actually decided to open up and share a little bit about my story. One of the things that I talk about in business is, our stories sell. When it's not really our services, it's the journey that we've been on to connect with people.
Mhm.
And when people connect with me, there's typically some type of kindred spirit there.
Right.
And we're able to work together and collaborate. So, one of the things, I gave you my topic, my faith gave me, resilience.
Right.
And resilience it is definitely something that is not learned, but it's something that's developed.
Mhm.
And people can look at it as a fortunate or an unfortunate thing, but um, fortunately for me, my faith
Mm.
has grew me into being resilient. Um, as a child, I didn't have a horrible upbringing, but I had a very challenged upbringing.
Mm.
Um, I did not grow up with both of my parents in the home. All I had was my mother, and she was a strong woman. And I could remember some of her words she would say to me because I could see as a child how strong she was. I would say, I just want to be just like you when I grow up. And she would quickly correct me and say, no, don't be like me, be better than
Oh,
me. Be better than me. And as a child, I didn't really understand what that meant. As adult, I do now.
right.
But as children, as teenagers, and I'm sure someone has heard this story from someone else, but one of the things that made me resilient was overcoming, molestation.
You
And
glitched out. Say what you said again. Overcoming what?
molestation.
Oh.
And had being a mother and having daughters and a son, because at this point in age, it doesn't really matter whether you're male or female. You really have to be careful how you entertain your children in front of others. Um, as I grew up, my mother, she taught me, she said, uh, men, they don't see. She said they don't see, but the outer appearance sometimes. And, they don't think about, you know, the age, they think, women, young ladies, well developed,
Mm.
and they look the part. So in their mind, for some reason, they feel like that they can, execute the part, but that's not the case, unfortunately.
Mm.
And I had to deal with that for a very, very long time,
Mm.
up until, adulthood, carry that weight that had happened to me. Uh,
I have a
to the
question.
point.
I have a question for you right quick
Mhm,
before you go further, because you're saying some things in those statements that I think are some key takeaways from parents that may not even know if their children are being, because you don't even always know until like your age when somebody finally reveals it that your
mhm,
child is in a situation where they're even being molested. So one thing that I heard you say so far that I really want to delve into for 1 second is be aware of how you entertain your children in front of
mhm.
others. What do you mean by that?
Well, because you actually just said it, because my mother did not know. She did not know this was happening, and she did not know it was happening in her own home. So, sometimes love can blind the eyes so you can't see what's right in front of you.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's interesting to know because, yeah. I mean, you can't, I'm not talking from a personal perspective only, but in my house, I know I have, like, my kids love each other. They respect each other.
Mhm.
I don't see any signs of anything. And I'm not
Mhm.
just talking about me personally. I know I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of mothers of multiple children. And
Yes.
you're like, well, there are no glaring signs in this house that anything
Mhm.
remotely similar to that is happening.
Mhm.
So how would you ever know that? you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think the part that gave me resilience from it was, you know, knowing that one of the things my mother did instill at me at a young age was to be faithful, be prayerful, and know that no matter what I go through in life, my help always comes from the Lord.
Yes.
Um, in saying that too, I always tell my children, there's a natural side to us and there is a spiritual side to us, and you have to feed them both. You have to feed them both. And I did get a lot of spiritual food, but I didn't really get that natural food. So the emotion and the psychological things that I had to deal with that happening never was fed, never was nurtured at that time.
Mm. Now, did your mom know at some point up until right now that this happened to you, or did she never know and could never address it, and now you're just coming out on the show and talking about it? I don't, I'm trying to
No,
get.
eventually it did come out. It didn't come out pretty, of course, but yeah, it did come out. And but it came out in my adult life.
Mm.
It
Okay.
came out in my adult life, about it. So I guess if um if I had to share, to someone that may think, or someone who may have experienced it, you know, one of the things, Kim, you come from a very spiritual background. You are very, a upright Christian woman. So, amongst other things, prayer is always the key. But sometimes people don't feel like they need an outside influence, which is, uh, therapy.
Mm.
And if we were only, if there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? If there was no natural side to us, there would be no need to repent.
Right.
So, before we can, really embrace that spirituality and really allow it to do what it does for us, you have to nurture that natural side too. And so, even though this has been over 40 years ago, it still puts a little choke in my throat because, again, as a mother, you never want to see your children hurt or go through anything. And to have to, and to know what that experience is like, and the challenges that I had to go through to overcome it.
Hmm.
Um, it was very painful. However, on a good note, um, be ye judged by your own mind. And I spoke earlier about being in the medical field. I was in the medical field for over 10 years, and I went and spoke to someone because I was going to be getting married, not to my current husband, but I was married before. And that thing that had happened kept coming up. And thankfully, I was able to be given some resources to go and talk to someone and really be able to work through those issues and have a life, because one thing about having old baggage,
Mhm.
um, you can't really be happy with someone unless you're happy.
Right.
You can't love unless you know how to love yourself first.
Okay. Wow. Uh, okay. I'm typing a lot of what you're saying too, and this is some profound tips. You can't be happy with someone unless you get rid of old baggage type of thing, and that's some good advice. Now, I don't know your circumstances, but I know now being a mother of children, sometimes, and I'm only putting in a made up version because I only take a person as deep on my show as they want to go. I can
Mm-hmm.
really deep dive, but I don't deep dive unless I feel like that's where we're flowing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand the caution that you're using in your wording, and I'm very receptive to that and considerate
Mm-hmm.
of that. So I won't ask questions that I know would take you straight there. I know how to ask those
Mm-hmm.
questions, but I won't out of consideration for you. Um, but the question that I do have is if, and this is an if statement, the person that maybe infracted upon you that way
Mm-hmm.
was ever to be around your children. Again, nobody knows who that person is because you didn't reveal that on the
Right.
show intentionally, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But if for some reason that person that you are referencing was ever to be around your children today and they did this to you, how are you able to handle something like that? Or how would you advise, even if you're not talking about you? Maybe we're talking about a friend, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've never thought of that just because, you know, that particular person is no longer around to be a part of my children's life. So I don't really know how to answer that. I
Hmm.
haven't had to be positioned in that way.
But what, based on you experiencing this in your
Hmm.
childhood, now
Hmm.
knowing that there are parents out here that they experience things in their childhood, then they grow up and now they're at a big shindig family event, and it's
Hmm.
like, no, you did this to me, and I
Hmm.
remember that from 20, 30, 40 years ago. So how am I going to now handle my children around you? I have my own
Hmm.
advice, but I wanted to know if you had any input on it.
I think, again, just, I have a pretty open communication with my children. My husband and I both do. And, I hope and pray that the seeds that I've planted will allow them to carry themselves in a way that if approached, then they would immediately know what to do.
Good. That's what I think
Hmm.
too. And
Hmm.
actually, in my household, in our this household, we actually I have candid conversation with my children, and I
Hmm.
will ask very direct questions. And it doesn't matter to me what it sounds like, or what it feels like to anybody else. I will ask, has anybody touched you in your private parts? And I ask very specific questions. And typically, like even my sons, as they've been growing, I've asked them too. And they're like, what? Like, what are you saying? I'm like, yes, I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm
Right,
asking a very direct question because I want to know if these
right,
things are happening to you, whether it's male or female. And when I ask my daughter, she's like, "Oh my gosh, mom! I mean, no, nobody's ever done." And so I'm grateful to hear that answer, and I'm glad it's so
yeah,
appalling.
hmm,
But at the end of the day, I don't want them to be 40 or 50 and we never discuss this. So
right,
I have check-in times. And then
hmm,
being a pastor's wife, Pam, this has been very interesting too, because I'm very cautious about who I let my children be around. And
hmm,
I'll give you one quick example. One time, and this was when my son Gabriel was alive, I sent him with a specific person to go to the bathroom, the person I wanted him to go to the bathroom with, that I
hmm,
felt comfortable with them taking my child to the bathroom.
right,
I assigned him to a specific person. But then the person that brought him back, I was like, how did that person end up with my child? I never
right,
assigned that person to my child. So when I realized that he had been handed off, basically, I whispered to him, and they was singing a song or something in church. And so I whispered, I was like, did anybody touch you? I'm whispering just privately, trying to talk to him while the song
right,
was on. This boy yelled out right when the song ended, "Nobody touched my butt, mom." I was like, "Ooh." So I'm in service. The whole church hears me yell. He yells us out to the top of his lungs because he thinks he's whispering while the song is playing. I
right,
I could have gone under the pew. I could have gone under the pew. But even though it sounds funny now, I was so serious. Even if it was
yeah,
dead silence and he had yelled it out,
hmm,
so what? You know?
right.
Is that what you
Hmm.
recommend that parents do? Talk to their kids?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely, because we're living in a different day. People are, they're not ashamed anymore. They have no type of respect. A lot of people don't have respect. They're not ashamed. They're not modest. They're very open
Mm,
about who they are, what they do, how they're going to do it. And before my husband and I actually had children, we had a conversation and we had promised one another that we would raise our children. We wouldn't raise them in a sheltered life. We were going to cover them and be protective, but we promised not to shelter them, and we promised to not shield them from the world, because the world is not going to shield itself from them.
mm, mm, mm,
You
mm.
know, it's they're going to be as in the world will be as enticing as it possibly can be.
Right.
And so
See,
if
it's
you shield them from that, if you shield them from that and then they go out here, become an adult and have no clue,
Mhm.
I would not want that for children.
That's
I
right.
would rather them be aware of what's out there and what it can do than to not know and then get involved.
That's good. Good. Well,
Hmm.
let's go to a flash round of people coming up to the mic on the Kim Jacobs show. If we were in the studio audience, technically they would be walking up to the mic to share these particular comments. So these
Yes.
are comments coming from my studio audience. And so you have Tashana said, yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
Shannon says, so true. You have to free your mind and soul from the negative energies that bring you down.
Absolutely.
Tashana says, God has delivered me from hurt, abuse, and molestation. I had to forgive that family member who has abused me as a child
Hmm.
for me to move forward in life. I had to seek professional help, and I encourage others to do the same.
She is so true with that, Kim. You have to, You have to forgive. You have to forgive. You don't forget, but you have to forgive in order for you to move forward in your life. You have to. I had to.
So how do you forgive someone? I've already done. I already know the answer to this because I forgive people all the time and they've never asked for it. Nor do you ever need to even cross paths again, because at the end of the day, you're free and forgiven, and I don't have any nothing else towards you. You're
Mhm.
a-okay with me. Rock and roll. You free as a bird. So how do you do that though? Because I know how I do it, but how do you do it?
You know what? Um, there's so many other things that I want to talk about or hit on, and that I've forgiven so many different people in so many situations, but I have to just talk to the Lord, and I just have to ask him to give me a forgiving heart. And then I have to meditate and think about how I once was a wretch undone and how forgiving he was to me, and how I may have got off the boat a little bit and still he forgave me, and I pray that my good outweigh my bad.
Yeah.
And, I think about Jesus, how he hung on the cross and how he, you know, told his father, they don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah, that's so
And
that
and
that
I'm
that's
definitely not comparing myself to Jesus, but to those that have harmed me or my family, I say to, my God, I say, they just don't know what they did, you know, and
that's
I
okay.
know that my God can do more damage that I could ever think about
Right.
doing.
Right.
And I had to learn to lean on him. I had to learn to trust him without any doubt. And I had to learn to lean not to my own understanding, but in all my ways,
Acknowledge him.
acknowledge him.
That's my
And
favorite
that
scripture right there.
has kept me.
Trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not into my own understanding, but in all
Yes,
my ways acknowledge him,
all
and
my
he
ways.
shall direct my path.
He will. He'll do it. He will
Wow.
do it. Such a
Okay.
witness to that.
Let's go to some more audience comments. Let's see. Now my eyes all blurred. I can't see, right? Let's see. Uh, okay, well, what in the world? I can't even see what okay. Oh, okay. Old baggage can be devastating. Old baggage can be devastating, and we must seek God's help to move on and learn through the wisdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
We have to forgive, but we must use wisdom
Mm-hmm.
and act accordingly. Teach the
Mm-hmm.
children and be cautiously proactive.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
true.
some good stuff. Okay. Uh,
So true.
Sean Hall says, Amen. I
Mm-hmm.
can't be crying during the flash round. I can't see. What in the world to say? Here, read that, Pamela, for a second. 'Cause I can't even
It
see.
says God can do it. And Tashana, he did. Now pray for my abuser. If I saw him today, I would give him a hug because I'm no longer bound by that hurt. I hear you. I don't want to hug him though, but you know what? I can look him in the face, and I have looked him in the face and told him to be blessed. And I am no longer hurting. I'm living a great life. My husband, with my children, we're living a great life.
Mm, mm. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Amen. Yes, he will. Amen. Cheryl Cook
Yes.
says. My mom said, Good morning, ladies. That's
Good morning, Miss Stella.
that's the woman I was raised under right there, and that single strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
Never, I mean, it's still it may be a simple thing, but I have never seen my
Mm-hmm.
mom drink any alcohol ever in my whole life. That
Wow.
I don't know too many people that would be able to say that. And not that it's probably something wrong with anybody that does it or whatever. That's up to a person. I don't judge one way or the other. Drink with whatever you want to put in your cup. That's between you and God. But my mama, I have never witnessed her even drink a cooler. I've never witnessed her drink any alcohol. How's that possible? How's that possible, right?
That's that life.
My God, my God,
Mhm.
she has inspired my life. Okay, let's see. Cheryl Cook said, "Good morning." The comment that's not on here, but I know she's on here, is our church mother, Mother Julia Harper. She's 80 years old. She gets on every show. And after the show, she sends me a text and say, "I was watching you, baby. And I'm telling you, these shows are so good. You keep on doing what you're doing." That's what she
Mhm.
said. Her and Mother Adele McLean. So I thank you, Mother Harper and Mother McLean, for always supporting the Kim Jacobs Show. Any comments to my audience members that you want to say?
I really appreciate you all watching the show and allowing me to share my story with you. I hope it is helping someone, and for those that may have experienced similar situations, I'm glad that from what I saw that you were able, to overcome and be steadfast.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, my next challenge to increase my resilience through my faith, which is the miracle of being with child. So, everything that happened in that time, with what was done to me, to a person uh, who dreams about being married and having a family and, having this life, that almost did not happen.
Mm.
It almost did not happen because the damage that I had to endure internally
Mm.
from that situation just about ruined me.
Mm.
And
Mm.
to the point where I went to my doctor at that time, and he just said, there is just no way at all that you will be able to not only become pregnant, but you wouldn't even be able to carry a child. And I just thought to myself, before I even put myself in an opportunity to be able to have that type of life, it's
Right.
already been taken away.
It's already taken away. My God. And it was what, from damage and stuff that had been done? Oh,
Yes,
God. Mm.
absolutely.
Mm. Okay.
But Kim,
Whew.
oh, what a mighty God we serve.
Yes.
Because I have three, right?
You have three. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. You know how you are watching a movie. I'm like, I wanted to start drinking. Be like, oh, tell them about your miracle children.
Yes.
God. Mm.
So it's
Mm.
you know, and my kids, they know the story too. So it's like, I was married before, and I never had any children with my first husband. Our marriage unfortunately came to an end. And although that marriage was probably my plan and not God's plan, it still taught me something. And when I decided to humble myself a little more and listen for his voice,
Yes.
then Brother Dwayne came along.
Tashana is typing my emotions. That's why I'm just
I
talking
said,
her comments. I said, God can do it, girl. Yeah. Oh,
and
boy.
I went in, well, my first son, my first child I had, um, he was the eye opener to what God could really do, because I remember going to my gynecologist, and no, let me back up further. This is a little funny story. Okay, so I was single, okay, had left, came out of, a bad marriage. So had got off the wagon a little bit, it happens.
Mhm.
And I was in my living room my sister and I, my younger sister and I, we lived together. I was in my living room and I was working out. One of the things I did was I work out to Denise Austin every day. And sometimes I would go out and run afterwards. I got up, put my clothes on, and I turned my, at the time we had, VHS.
Right, right.
I put that VHS cassette in and I went to working out and I could not get through the warm up and I was trying to figure out what in the heck was going on with me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting up here and I was like, okay. I went and got a glass of water and I was like, okay, let me try this again. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't know. I thought I was coming down with the flu.
Mhm.
So my younger sister comes downstairs and she was like, you ain't working out right now? And I was like, I think I'm sick. And she was like, girl, you pregnant. And I was like, yeah, right. That's funny.
Yeah, they're like on the miracle of being with child. Then her
So,
husband, Dwayne, came
you,
along.
you know, I'm, I went to the store. She went with me. My sister went with me to the store and she was like, just try. And I was like, I'm not wasting my money on a whole bunch of pregnancy tests. I already know, like I've already accepted this.
Right.
So I bought 10 because I was like, they all kept saying the same thing. And I was like, it's a defect. That's what it is. It's a defect in the pack. So I called my doctor and I told him I needed to come in. I said, I took a pregnancy test. I said, and it's saying positive. He said, you got a positive test? And I was like, yeah, that's what it says. He laughed. He laughed and put his nurse on the phone and was like, just talk to Miss Howard. I guess he thought I was having a moment or something.
That's funny.
Needless to say, I went in. He said, I tell you what. He said, you come in. He said, blood ain't gonna lie. He said, we'll know. Cause he was like, I don't think you're doing it right. I said, well, I did it 10 times. He said, well, I know you ain't doing it right then. So anyway, took my blood to check and he came in the room. His mouth was open. He fell in the chair. He literally almost passed out. And he said, you know what, Pamela? He said, from a medical perspective, I told you what I was supposed to do. He said, but I am not God. He said, and he can do anything. And he said, we just gonna take good care of you. And that was all she wrote.
Let's put that back up again. The miracle of being with child. And then her husband, Dwayne, came along.
So I have to say this because I bet people's like, okay, what is the miracle in it? So the miracle in it is that because of the damage that I endure, I don't have any tubes. I only have one ovary. That's it.
Well,
So
it's funny because
all those
I'm gonna
things,
talk about the things I know as I approach 50, and you'll hear something similar to that in a few minutes. But go ahead.
all the things that we need to reproduce, unfortunately, I don't have those things. I
Mm-mm.
don't even have them. And when my husband and I got married, we had to go through another reacceptance. We came to the acceptance that we would have no more. Our son was it, and we accepted that.
Mm, 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 mm.
We accepted that. We
Ooh.
desired more, and I remember being in church one day and either I can't remember if it was a sermon or if I was just having a conversation, but the words I remember are, you know if it's your heart's desire
Mm-hmm.
and you worthy, you got to be both. You got to be worthy of God's blessings. And if you have a heart's desire, because you know God, He listens to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
He will give you your heart's desire. And I remember at night, my husband and I would kneel and we would pray together, stretch our arms across the bed, and we would pray. And that was my heart's desire. And I remember Christmas Eve, I gifted him with telling him that he was about to have a child.
Tashana,
Yeah.
you better say it. You're playing my God's plan. I love you. Keep on commenting, Tashana. Right up here on the screen. Oh, Lydia Best says that my bishop was molested and she shares her testimony often to help others. If she can come through it victoriously, we can all overcome.
Oh, absolutely.
My God.
Absolutely.
Let God use your testimony, Pamela. Oh, you talk about
Yeah.
Pamela plans. I'm excited that you talk about Pamela plans and your business stuff. But Pamela is to be shared with others. The God we serve. My God.
Hmm.
Woo!
Yes.
Okay, so what else do you want to tell the audience? Because I know we're gonna be coming to a close soon, but this is some good stuff. So far, let me go over this. We done learned about your business component, which now it's like I don't want to say I didn't want to spend no time on the business. I mean, we need to know about Pamela plans. Don't get me wrong, that's very important and not to be diminished. So if you're interested in learning more about Pamela plans and her event planning, go to pamelaplans.com. If you want to get in touch with Pamela, you can reach her at 980-349-5750 because she is definitely willing to talk to you and help you. As you can see, she opened up to tell some of her backstory today on the Kim Jacobs Show, how her faith gave her resilience and talked about some very low moments in her life through molestation, and now to talk about this miracle of being with child, technically with three children, and those are straight miracles even beyond her doctor, and how her precious husband came along, Dwayne, and helped to gel this whole thing together. Okay, so now what else? Let me get my tea.
So, I can't tell it all. So I think I will share like the most recent thing that happened last year in July. So again,
Mm,
being resilient, I tell you what, looking death right in the face.
mm.
I've had to do that. You know,
Girl,
my daughters and we were actually leaving church services one evening. And, you know, it was dusk, it wasn't dark, dark, but it was dusk and the lights were starting to come on. And we were leaving a little bit early so that we can go and pick my son up from work. And as we were headed to our car, a gunman came and pointed the gun at me. And, at that point in time, I've had so many people say, "Girl, I go buy me a gun," or "I would have done this, I would have done that," and I said, "You know what? I did what works for me."
right.
You know, I grabbed my heart and I said, "Lord," I said, "if this is the way, you know, just have mercy on my soul."
Mm,
But I also said, you know, "Please don't let my daughters see me go this way." I said, "That is not how I would like to have them remember me." I said, "Please give me that. Do not let my daughters see their mom get shot down like this." And, I remember the gunman, he wanted my car keys, and it was a keyless entry thing, and I didn't know where it was because I had dropped everything at that time on the ground. And I heard a whisper.
Mm.
I heard a whisper, and the spirit said, "Baby, open your eyes." And because, see, at the time, my daughters were in the car and I wanted them to get out. They had gotten out of the car. I saw that they were, out of the way. And I looked down and I saw the key. And I told the gunman, I said, "It's right there." And he said, "You better give them to me right now or I'm going to shoot you right now." And I said, "They are right there." And I just kept thinking about the Lord. And I said, do not let my daughter see me this way. And he didn't. He did not allow it. That man looked at me
Uh,
and he got in my car, the only car that we had, and he just drove off
mm, mm.
unharmed, all because I asked. I asked him once again,
You tear me
"Be
down.
there for me." And he was there. I testified one day at my church. I said, "You know what?" I said, "I was just sitting on my seat and I was thinking about what my God has brought me and my family through over the years in my life." I said, "And I can't think of not one time, he has not given me exactly what I asked for. Not one time. Even looking death in the face, I asked him to stop it for my children's sake."
Wow. What kind of host am I? I'm not okay. What kind of host am I? I'm like over here torn down. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jesus. And my God, thank you, Jesus, that you spared Pamela's life just for this story alone to be shared. Uh, man, I just got to put Pamela Howard opens up and shares her backstory on the Kim Jacobs show. And anybody that knows Pamela from a business perspective, none of us know all of this stuff about her. This is crazy that we don't know. I mean, you don't know a person basically because what you've shared on this show today, people, many of us do not know. I know because the Mother Dreamer movement, we remembered this aspect of your life
Yeah.
because we
It
were
was
there.
very recent. Yeah.
It was very recent. But all of the other stuff you shared, oh God, oh my God. I don't even know if you're allowed to. I don't know what the rules are of talk show stuff, but I don't know if you're allowed to just go get more emotional than your guest on a show. You're like, Kim, rule number one, you're not supposed to break down to the point where you like feel the Holy Ghost coming and overtaking you in your living in your office. That's what I feel is happening in here. This is like a spiritual encounter that I'm having with you, and I am just so blessed. I'm so blessed that you were on this show today.
Thank you.
This is crazy. I don't even know. I don't know if don't worry. I'll wash my cloths. I got 50. Like, what you doing with that cloth? I'm gonna have to tune off just for that. Okay, y'all, we human. This is a blessing. You done blessed me. God. Somebody said, Hakeem and Jesus said, great work, more grace in Jesus' name. And that's on Periscope. That's why we love you because you are real. Thank you, Tashana. I love you, girl. I don't even know you like that. I'm excited that you keep popping up here. You keep right on coming and being a part. Hey, Tashana, I'm trying to get more guests to be able to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show on YouTube. I know you got me. You got me. If I just put it out there and ask, Tashana got me. Okay, so get some people over there to subscribe on YouTube to the Kim Jacobs Show. Man, Pamela. Whoosh.
I know we can't tell it all. I can't tell it all, but I just want to say I am so grateful to be here. I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful to God for the things that I came through all of these challenges. I mean, I've overcome homelessness. I've had my house arsoned. Um, you know, just back in February, I thought I was leaving my family. My husband came home and found me in my bedroom. I was balled up like a fetus. I couldn't talk. And, never to say all of this was happening just as the pandemic was entering, our city, our state, but all I have to do is just say, but God, even in that hospital, I remember my husband calling one of our pastors and saying, she can't talk, she can't move, but you just pray. But I could hear, I could hear, and my faith was there.
Mm,
And I'm here on your show to tell the story.
mm.
And I don't know, I know that I have a purpose. And other than just planning amazing, I know that I have another higher purpose and I'm living in my purpose. And, through it all, I have maintained my business for over 17 years. Like these things has happened as a business owner with the exception of what happened to me as a child. Being resilient to put on that business face
Right.
and be out in the community, network, run my business, generate an income, you know, and be able to start a second company, Pamela Plans and Consulting, through all of these challenges. So my gift to whoever's listening today is that if you are faced to come to it, the God I serve will bring you through it and you can still walk in your purpose. Live your dream. He will fix you so that you can bless yourself, to bless your family, and then be able to bless others.
Girl, you done dropped so much. You didn't drop so much knowledge on here. I think I might have to take a nap because my nerves are so down. I mean, I'm overloaded here on today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Kim. It was my pleasure to be here.
What made you share your story on the Kim Jacobs Show? You could have shared the same story on your own. You have your own shows and things that you do. So what made you share it on the Kim Jacobs Show today?
Well, you being an inspiration. You get up every day with your son close to your heart, and you never, the journey that you're going on, and your purpose for starting this Mother Dreamer movement, that was why it felt right.
Hmm.
It felt right. It felt the place that I needed to release this story and just share with people. I'm looking for, more opportunities to be able to share and speak. My story today wasn't crafted in some kind of way. It was just me being me, myself, and I.
Well, I'm so glad God gave you that unction to be me, myself, and I on the Kim Jacobs Show. And Tashana said, I think we're sisters, Pamela. I'll be reaching out to you. Uh,
Sounds good, Tanisha.
that right, Tashana. Yeah, that's
Tashana, I'm
awesome.
sorry.
I don't know her either, but I think it says Tashana. But this is amazing, amazing. And many of you may know coming up this week, we have a great show lined up for you. You have like to just share a few housekeeping announcements. Let me see. Tomorrow we will have Noel Friedline and Maria Howell. They're going to be saving the world through music, one note
Mhm.
at a time. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m., please tune in to listen to Noel Friedline and Maria Howell. And then on Thursday, it's Pamela Booker, Coils by Nature. She says it's not just hair, it's you. And she is gorgeous too. So tune in on
Mhm.
Thursday to hear about what she has to say about it's not just hair, it's you. That's Pamela Booker. And on Friday, there's going to be a birthday show for me in honor of my 50th birthday.
All
And
right.
my birthday is on Sunday. I'm turning 50 and I'm so excited. I don't even know what to do about it. So excited. If God's will, everything is if it's the Lord's will, obviously, that He would grace me to go into another year of life. And yeah, I won't say even if He did, but the point is, I'm so grateful that He's allowed me to see up to this point. And I do want to share just a couple of things every day this week, things that I have learned as I approach 50. So I'll compile all of these things and get them to you guys some kind of way. The things that I've learned as I've approached 50. One thing is that people do not determine my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
People don't determine my destiny. And one of the things that happened to me when I was a teenager, I was in a park and I was with some of my girlfriends, and it was a big event, some kind of cookout or something. And I could hear these two ladies talking about me. They didn't know I was standing right behind them, but they actually said, yeah, look at her, Kim. She thinks she's something special. She gonna end up being pregnant before she even get out of high school. I was like, well, what is that to say about a child? Whenever first of all, I could hear you, and they didn't even know I could hear them. But that fueled me to say, God, please let me get past these years of my life to just at that time I was in the theory to prove those women that are against me for whatever the reason, instead of building me up,
Mm-hmm.
they were tearing me down amongst their friendship. And I thought that was horrible. So
Yeah.
anyway, guess what? God graced me not to be able to have a child as a teenager. But even if I would have, I still would have succeeded. I believe that. But I didn't have that situation happen. But people don't determine your destiny. God does. He determines my destiny. That's something
Mm-hmm.
that I've learned as I approach 50. Another thing that I've learned as I approach 50 is that God will always put some angels in your path, in your life. When I was a child, there were several people that God put in my life that, because I grew up in the projects, in a very deep part of a project, a very, very low impoverished lifestyle, and called the bottom. And a lot of people know my story, but God provided Miss Margaret Blackwell. He provided Miss Wilhelmina Smith. He provided Miss Cynthia King, one of my eighth grade teachers, to just help me by giving me hand-me-down clothes, Oscar de la Rente, Jordache, helping me with pageant gowns and things that I could have never afforded. It
Mm-hmm.
entered me into the Miss Debutante ball to teach me poise and grace, things that I just would have never known about. So God knows
Mm-hmm.
how to send angels into your life to cover you. Another thing that I've learned is that the doctors are practicing medicine. And this is where
That's
it goes
it.
right with what you said. The doctors are practicing medicine, and yes, they are gifted at their craft, and God orchestrates their hands to do some magnificent work. So I believe that
Mm-hmm.
God creates the doctors just like He creates the world. And I'm so grateful for doctors. But when it comes to God deciding what the fate is going to be, it's God that knows. And that's whose
Mm-hmm.
report we have to believe.
That's
And
right.
I was told literally when I had a cyst that was the size of an orange and it almost ruptured and had to get it removed off of my left ovary. Well, in the process, a big chunk of my ovary was removed. Well, guess what? That ovary, after it was removed, they told me, Kim, you will not be able to have children. No children will come from your body, sweetie. And guess what? God blessed me to birth 5 children through this canal. So guess what?
Mm-hmm.
God knows what He's doing. He is
Yes, he does.
and the finisher of our faith. So these are just some things that I've learned as I'm approaching 50, and I'm going to get them out this week. Some things, I won't be able to say everything, but some things that I've learned as I approach 50. Pamela, I'm so glad that you're my guest today. And people, Tashana said, Kim, you allow others to have courage and safe faith-based platform to share. Yes, on the Kim Jacobs show, we could talk about all of the secular stuff you want to talk about. We could talk about as much of the spiritual stuff as you want to talk about, because on this show, we can talk about Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior, and I'm proud to say it. And guess what? For people that come on my show and Jesus is not your Lord and Savior, that's your choice. You're still welcome to be a part of the show. It's not like I can't welcome you to be on the platform to talk about some things, but we just hang our hats and our souls on different things. But I'm
Right.
not having nobody on the show that I'm gonna tell you in advance. I'm not gonna have anybody on the show that is gonna go totally against my moral belief. So I'm just not, and that's my right. And thank God that I get the opportunity to choose that. All right,
That's
so
right.
let's see. Exciting week ahead. Yes. All right. Any last comment, Pamela, that you say? You know what, Kim? God, I wish I didn't get off the show without saying this one thing. What was it?
I think I'm not gonna get into a whole bunch just because then your show would not end, and it has to end because you have to have other wonderful guests on the show so we can watch. But I think I just want to leave with that verse. You know, the Lord is my light and my salvation, and whom shall I fear? And again, learn to lean not to your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge the Lord, for He will direct your path. He will. I'm a witness to that. But you have to humble yourself and listen.
Well,
You
I'm going
have
to
to
put that.
humble yourself and listen.
Let's put that up there. And it says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? And
Hmm.
the answer is, He's got us. So grateful. So grateful. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Kim Jacobs Show today. Thank you, Pamela Howard, for being my guest. God bless you. Bye bye, everybody. Until tomorrow at
Bye.
11.